The Knights Who Say Nah, Tomoe Gozen, Episode 1. She's Not Strong Enough. The year is 2023 AD. At Oakwood Investments in Manhattan on the trading room floor, it's all Tom Ford, Chanel, and Rolex. Everyone trying their hardest to signal their millionaire status. Traders buzz through earnings reports when a woman's voice emphatically yells,
"Tesla just hit 1,200!
The entire floor celebrates except for two traders. One in a pair of fresh white-on-white Air Force Ones. The other has a small CryptoPunk tattoo behind her right ear. They're not cheering Tesla stock. They're scouring Rarible secretly on their computers. That classic click of the mouse signals a different type of trade. The screen reveals they just spent 20 Ethereum on a doodle with beady eyes and a pastel background. Across the skyline down into Central Park, a woman in a Bored Ape Yacht Club hoodie checks her phone. She is the seller of that doodle, and she just made an 18,000% profit. Meanwhile, 1,300 miles away in Miami, high school kids, retail workers, and investment bankers are on their phones. But they're not texting. They're ripping through Discord, Rarible, and OpenSea. In Sao Paulo, and it's the same thing. Reykjavik, London, Beijing, and finally, Tokyo. Everyone on the sidewalk, in their cars, and at their desks are engaged in the metaverse. Waves of invisible energy emanate out from all these devices and converge in a nondescript alleyway. Then, a rumble. It's subtle, as if the molecules in the air are conspiring. A single purple fractal pops into existence like a tiny snowflake, then another, and another, and another, until thousands coagulate and swirl into an angry spiral. Drawing on the energy from the devices engaged in the metaverse, this anomaly expands, and as it does, it reveals a world beyond. We fly into the eye of the purple storm and into the year 1184 AD. On the battlefield of Uchida no Hama at dusk, the golden sunset shoots beams of light at cotton candy clouds. 10,000 feet below, the orange glow filters through cherry blossoms that helicopter toward the ground. The idyllic tableau is interrupted by the glinting blade of a samurai sword that slices through the air. A red mist speckles the falling flowers. We're close on the ashen face of a Taira Clan samurai. Blood spurts from an artery in his neck as he takes one last look at the Onimusha, the female samurai warrior that ended his life. His eyes roll back into his head, and he collapses into a heap on the ground. A cherry blossom lands on his lifeless face. The Onimusha spins, a tornado of fury, impales another Taira Clan samurai, drops to a knee to duck an attack, pulls a kodachi and drives it through the thigh of an enemy. More blood. More victims. The Onimusha pulls both blades, whips around to reveal she is Tomoe Gozen. Her long black hair catches wind and flickers in front of her hyper-focused obsidian eyes. Behind her, it's pure carnage as her tiny force of 300 furious samurai cut through 6,000 of the Taira Clan cavalry in a fury of blood and metal.
Yamabuki.
The women lock eyes, arrive at a silent understanding, and in quick succession, simultaneously pull their longbows, knock arrows, exhale, and release. The two arrows spin gracefully, pass through the blood and tears, and pierce the hearts of two enemy warriors on horseback. Tomoe fires 3 more arrows. 3 more enemies drop dead. She looks to Yamabuki, who rolls her eyes.
Always putting on a performance, Tomoe. Me?
Screams of agony ring out, and Tomoe turns to find Uchida Saburo, massive in his gleaming black lamellar armor. His helmet bears a deadly symbol, a serpent that forms an equilateral triangle, devouring its tail.
Uchida.
She watches him slice through the spinal column of one of her ashigaru. His menacing black menpo is frozen in an angry scowl. Uchida's eyes lock onto hers as he finishes the kill and taunts Tomoe from across the battlefield.
Ashigaru! On me!
Her generals flock into V formation. Tomoe is the tip of the spear with Yamabuki confidently by her side. They slice through the battlefield like a hot knife through butter. Tomoe's eyes shoot daggers at Uchida Saburo. He bulldozes his way through her warriors. They're on a collision course.
Tomoe Gozen.
She doesn't break stride as she dictates to her Ashigaru.
Break!
The samurai surrounding her break rank and unleash hell against Uchida's onslaught.
It's my turn!
Yamabuki bolts forward and disappears into the melee.
Yamabuki!
Tomoe feints left, breaks right, and slides the impossibly sharp edge of her longsword across the stomach of an attacker. She desperately looks ahead to find Yamabuki closing the distance on Uchida. Tomoe can't kill fast enough. With every dispatched enemy, another moves in her way. Distracted, she feels the hot slice of a wound on her arm. She throws a front kick at her assailant, and their swords meet 3 times before Tomoe runs her blade through his eye. She flicks the blood and brain fragments to the side, turns, and gasps. Up ahead, Yamabuki closes the final gap, raises her long sword, and engages Uchida with a 3-strike combo. He blocks 2 hits with his sword and allows her third to clank harmlessly against his thick armor. Then, Uchida strikes hard, slamming his long sword down against her 1, 2, 3 times. Tomoe Gozen, eyes wide with fear, doesn't bother fighting anymore. She's running, ducking, sliding to save Yamabuki. Uchida slams his oversized sword down one last time, and the impossible happens. Yamabuki's sword breaks. She tries to spin right, but his left leg shoots out and lands hard in her gut. Then, he delivers a punishing kick to her face. Blood shoots from her broken nose as she falls to her back, eyes glazed on the precipice of unconsciousness. Uchida growls a final taunt.
She's not strong enough.
Tomoe Gozen watches helplessly as Uchida's sword slams down through Yamabuki's throat, pinning her lifeless body to the dirt. Tomoe sprints the final 5 steps, then launches herself into the air, screaming for murder. She brings her sword down to cleave Uchida's head in 2. Clank! He blocks it just in time. Their swords spark with energy and revenge. Tomoe is lizard fast. Uchida's armor saves him where his sword cannot. He swings fast and hard for Tomoe's head. She ducks, spins, and runs her blade along his calf, striking the first blow. Uchida yells out in anger, stumbles, and quickly catches himself. They square up. Tomoe can only hear her heartbeat and the sound of her exhale when something rumbles around her. It isn't the ground. It's in the air. The split second of distraction is enough. Uchida charges, hits Tomoe's sword out of position, and slams his fist into her chest. A rib cracks as she hits the ground on her back. Uchida brings his sword down for the death blow, but Tomoe rolls, pulls out her kodachi, and fights him back to her feet. There's that rumble again. Tomoe can't tell if it's the pain from her cracked rib or the gods playing a trick, but a crystalline purple substance begins to swirl like a miniature blizzard behind Uchida's head.
You are not strong enough.
He swings with all the might of a death blow. Tomoe lifts her kodachi in the final millisecond and screams,
Yes, I am!
She kicks out at his thigh, pulls a second kodachi, and unleashes a barrage of strikes and thrusts. Uchida parries, thrusts his sword out, but Tomoe rolls her shoulder back, and using her 2 blades, she catches his sword and twists, sending Uchida's blade flying from his grasp. His eyes bulge with that "I'm about to die" realization. That rumble again. This time it registers on the Richter scale. Tomoe doesn't feel it. She's engulfed by rage, so she misses the otherworldly purple fractals radiating out in a spiral. Tomoe screams, leaps in the air to bring these 2 sharpened blades down into Uchida's throat and chest, but then he's gone. She's gone. Only the remnants of a few purple fractals remain. They fall like snowflakes, melting. They're gone. It's the year 2023, inside a humble family-style office space. We close on a picture of a perfect family of 3. A mother, a father, and their teenage daughter with smiles pinned to their ears. Behind them stands 12 proud employees, all pointing up at the block-lettered sign above their heads. Sato Cleaning Service. Along an ironically dusty shelf, there's a row of more pictures of the family and their employees standing proudly in front of buildings, their softball team photo, the company picnic, and then another family picture. This time, the father looks skinnier. And another family picture. His head is completely shaved. The last family picture. Mother and daughter are next to him in a hospital bed. A half-widened smile in show of support. Next to the photo is an urn. An obnoxiously loud telephone breaks the silence. Footsteps clomp across the floor. It rings again.
I'm coming!
The woman's voice precedes her disheveled entry as she jumps into frame and snatches the phone from the receiver, revealing Niko Sato, 40 years old, the woman in the pictures. Her eyes are tired and threaten to make her look like an old 40 instead of a young 40, something she's been reading about lately. Her hair is pulled tight into a ponytail. The name tag on her monochromatic gray outfit reads, Sato Cleaning Service.
Sato Cleaning Service, this is Niko. How can I assist you today? Niko, it's Kenji at Quest Solutions. Hello, Kenji-san. Mom, if I'm gonna help, then you gotta get me a uniform that fits.
Niko scrambles to cover the receiver and whips her head to find her daughter, Sakura, 20, blinking at her from behind bright green eyeshadow.
Check the lockers.
Sakura rolls her eyes and disappears around the corner. Niko speaks back into the phone.
I'm sorry about last week, but I'm hiring a new team, and we'll be back at the full capacity tomorrow. Niko, look, we can't keep you on. I wish I could. I have a boss too, and he already made his decision.
The sting coaxes a tear. Niko wipes it before it can drop.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Let's go then. I only have until 4, and I have to go to class.
Niko slams the phone down, looks up to her daughter, and proceeds with a typical workday. Niko and Sakura push a cleaning cart through the busy streets of Tokyo's financial district. They scan their ID card at the Ares International corporate headquarters and clean windows, empty garbage cans, and vacuum the floors. Later, inside the president's office on the 44th floor, Niko vacuums carefully when she bumps into something and gasps in surprise. She looks up to find that the wall isn't flush like it should be. It's sticking out half an inch. Curiosity chases away the confusion as she runs her finger along this revelation. She looks over her shoulder. There's nobody there. Niko pulls at the ledge with her fingertips, and the wall isn't a wall anymore. It's a secret door. Niko steps around the corner to peer inside. A secret room. She moves inside toward a samurai sword on display. It's identical to the sword Tomoe Gozen was just using in battle. In fact, the silver placard underneath the sword states that fact. Tomoe Gozen. Niko's reflection appears in the glass. Her wide eyes are enamored by the razor-sharp blade. She's practically drooling when a voice bleeds into her ears.
Mom!
Niko wheels around to look at her daughter.
Fix your uniform. We can't be in here. You don't know that. Yeah, it looks like a secret room. The kind of secret room that cleaning lady aren't supposed to sneak into. I was cleaning. You probably already tripped some alarm. I was just looking. Don't look. Sakura, fix your uniform. It doesn't fit right. This was Dad's uniform.
This last sentence grinds Niko to a halt. Her face falls in unspoken sadness. Sakura cringes at her misstep and gingerly places an arm over her shoulder. They both look up at the glinting blade above them.
Don't lie. You are contemplating seppuku, aren't you?
Niko pushes her daughter away. Attention back on the sword, she cocks her head and then reaches her arms out in front of her and feigns the ritual suicide of seppuku by making a stabbing motion toward her stomach.
My arms aren't long enough.
They both chuckle when the door bursts open and a security guard that looks like an agent from the Matrix charges toward them. Niko is a deer in headlights.
Wait.
The security guard reaches out, and he basically drags them down to the security floor where Niko sits outside his office, next to her cleaning cart, vomiting supplies. She spots a black scuff on the gleaming floor. It taunts her. Behind Niko, through a pane of frosted glass, Sakura argues with Tanaka, in his 30s, broad-shouldered, in a crisp blue suit.
We are trying, and we were just cleaning. Mr. Sato wasn't cleaning. Listen, Genji-san was a good businessman. Your mother, she's trying, but we can't have trying here. She's not strong enough. Please. Sakura, that's it. We will find someone new next week. We'll sue you. You can try. I won't try, I'll do it.
Niko's 1,000-mile stare is unflinching as the news reaches her ears. She looks down at that scuff on the floor. Then, Niko clenches her jaw, stands, and kicks at the ground, leaving a scuff of her own. Sakura charges out of the office.
Let's go, Mom.
The two amble down the long hallway together, Sakura's arm draped over her mother's shoulder. She looks back one last time.
I'll see you in court.
Outside, in the Tokyo Financial District, Niko and Sakura spill out of the slate-gray Ares International monolith and onto the bustling streets. Niko pushes her cleaning cart in front of her and immediately collides with a businessman.
Asshole. Sakura. What? Why aren't you mad, huh? Wake up, Mom. I love you, but you have to wake up. We just got fired, and you're walking around like a ghost. You've been walking around like a ghost since Dad died, and you can't keep doing it. Well, we're gonna get fired from the Ito offices too. I can't. You can't what? I can't do this. I can't run this business. I can't. I'm not strong enough. You're the strongest woman I know. Maybe you need someone to teach you that.
Sakura looks down at her phone to find an array of text message bubbles. Niko clocks it.
You should go.
Sakura is clearly conflicted.
Go. I'm okay. Are you sure? I can be late. I can walk you home. Go to class. You know what? What? After I perform my first surgery, I'm taking you to Disneyland. Go. Bye.
Sakura turns and disappears into the crowd. Niko takes a beat. She's alone in a sea of bustling functionaries and begins pushing her cart out into the sidewalk, against the flow of foot traffic. Beleaguered by curses, grumbling, and frustration, she persists forward. The cart thumps against bodies and galumps over fissures in the sidewalks and the roads. Niko's breathing becomes shorter, erratic. She jerks her head left and then right. It's like the world is closing in on her. Lacquered in panic, she starts fighting to get off the sidewalk and pushes past a few more bumps until she reaches a nondescript alleyway. Niko gasps for air as if she just escaped a drowning and puts her hands on her knees. She finds herself staring into her mop bucket and a murky reflection.
What are you doing?
As if it's a response, the water shifts, and her reflection stretches until it's interrupted by a snowflake-like fractal that dances past her eyes. This little purple miracle pirouettes in the wind, then disappears into thin air. Niko snaps out of it, wheels around, and finds a series of these purple fractals popping into existence. Niko steps away from her cart, enamored as she watches, the purple fractals picking up speed. There's thousands now, and they're swirling into a hurricane. Wind blows at Niko's face from the building energy. She puts a hand up to shield her eyes, waiting with bated breath for whatever happens next, and then a pop. The purple blizzard implodes, and two human bodies come rushing from the energy nexus as if from thin air. It's Tomoe Gozen. Not that Niko knows that fact. This female samurai is in full regalia, and as soon as her feet hit the concrete, she swirls around and swings a glinting sword at Uchida and misses. As if they don't even realize they've traversed centuries, Niko watches their samurai swords flit in and out of view, colliding with each other in quick succession. They spin, parry, punch, and kick their way from one end of the alley to the other, never noticing Niko. Tomoe presses an attack, a 3-combo strike, but Uchida spins and slices across her back, drawing deep blood and cutting the cord that holds her quiver of arrows, spilling them across the ground. One in particular skids behind a dumpster. She doesn't know why, but Niko yells out in fear.
No!
She watches Tomoe stumble up against the side of the building to balance herself. Uchida sprints forward to strike and lunges with his sword. Tomoe moves aside, but he delivers a sweeping haymaker to her jaw, and her body crumples to the ground. Tomoe's vision becomes myopic as she turns to face her deadly assailant. She focuses on his crest, that serpent in the shape of a triangle. Niko has to do something. She grabs her mop handle and pulls it from the cart. There's a courage bubbling up inside her as she yells out,
Hey! Hey! Leave her alone!
Uchida turns to look at Niko. His eyes blaze from behind the red mask, and Niko throws the mop to the ground in quick surrender. Tomoe pulls focus and pushes her collapsing vision outward, and then it all happens in one lightning burst. Uchida yells, brings his sword down to pierce Tomoe's chest. She waits until the very last moment, then turns. The tip of Uchida's sword hits the concrete, and his neck comes into striking distance for Tomoe, who snatches an arrow from the ground and shoves it into his throat. Uchida pauses for a long beat as the synapses in his brain catch up to the physical inevitability of death. His sword drops harmlessly to the ground, and then his body mimics the motion. Niko sits in a beat of silence. Then, as if it couldn't get any weirder, the samurai's body and his sword evaporate into that purple dust, and then he's just gone. She looks down at the wounded Onimusha and pads forward carefully.
Are you okay? Miss, are you okay?
Tomoe manages to look up and clock her surroundings. She sees this woman walking toward her, but her eyes are drawn to one of the most spectacular, unbelievable images she's ever seen in her life. It's like fireworks, and it says something about drinking Red Bull. It's an LED billboard. The pain and blood loss causes her vision to blur.
My name is Niko. I'm going to help you, okay? What's your name? Tomoe Gozen.
The name hits Niko like an anvil. She remembers the sword back at the office, but she can't focus on that now. She has to get her to the apartment. Niko rushes and pushes her cart in position, throws the cleaning supplies off the top, and with every ounce of strength she has, she helps Tomoe's nearly unconscious body up to the cart, her makeshift gurney. It requires a Herculean effort, and when she's up there, Niko takes a moment to catch her breath.
What are you doing?
Before she realizes it, Niko is back out on the sidewalk pushing Tomoe Gozen on her cleaning cart. She's resolved to saving this woman's life, even if she is an out-of-her-mind Tomoe Gozen impersonator that just killed a man and made him disappear into purple dust. Niko pushes her across the street and into view of the Ares International Tokyo building. Tomoe looks up at the unimaginably massive structure in complete awe. Then her eyes go wide with some mix of anger and fear as she points feebly to the top of the building where the Ares International logo sits proudly atop the skyline. It's a serpent in the shape of a triangle, devouring itself.